Welcome to Healing with Honey. Come sit with me. Today is episode 4. What they don't tell you about healing. Come. I want to start by saying this. Nobody tells you that healing doesn't start when things finally get quiet. Sometimes it starts when things are loud and confusing and unfair. I was born in 1949 in Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederate States of America. Now, I don't know what was going on at the hospital on that day, but I do know this. My mother delivered me without a doctor being present. I know this because she told me this, and it's on my birth certificate. It says physician, and then it says unattended. Nobody tells you that healing sometimes begins with survival. Before you even have words for what's happening. My mother, like so many Black women, carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. And she never complained, not once. Everything around us celebrated the Old South. Street names, neighborhoods, Monument Avenue, lined with statues of men who fought against the United States and were still treated like heroes. Nobody tells you that healing happens while you're growing up inside contradictions. I started school in 1954, the same year Brown versus the Board of Education was decided. But I went to all Black schools because, let me tell you something, putting laws on books doesn't change mindsets. Schools shut down rather than integrate. Taxpayer money funded private schools for white children. Churches stepped up to educate Black children. White children were bused. Black children got to school however they could. Nobody tells you that healing often happens in underfunded spaces. Our schools had fewer resources. Our teachers were paid less. Our desks and books were hand-me-downs. Torn pages, slurs written in the margin. And when the school buses passed us, children threw things at us. Liquids, words, the N-words. For a very long time, we couldn't go to the state fair. We couldn't swim in public pools. We couldn't sit down in restaurants downtown. We couldn't try on clothes before we bought them. Nobody tells you that healing happens while exclusion is being treated as normal. But here's the part they really don't tell you. Healing doesn't just come from hurt. It also comes from what held you. In first grade, I met a teacher who taught me how to stand up for myself. In fourth grade, I met my best friend, and she's still my best friend after more than 60 years. In fifth grade, I had my first male teacher. He taught me to write legibly, and he introduced me to Mahalia Jackson's song, "If I Can Help Somebody." That song became the soundtrack for my life. Nobody tells you that healing often shows up as a teacher. I knew nearly every family within a couple of miles of my house. We went to school together, we went to church together, and we showed up for each other. The only Catholic church and school for colored people sat right across the street from my house. I started attending there when I was 12. I'll talk more about that at another time. There was a widow next door who lost her husband and her only child. She sat on the porch and watched us play. And every school year, every boy on our block got a new shirt, or girls got either a blouse or a skirt. The boys and the men in our community cut her grass, shoveled snow, and fixed everything that needed fixing. Nobody tells you that healing looks like people taking care of each other. The couple across the street, no children. They bought school supplies for all the children on my block every year. Another widow next door who worked for the owners of a large hotel brought food home to make sure that we were all eating. Another widow, no, they were not killing their husbands. Black men just tended to die younger. She taught me about service. I collected money for UNICEF on her behalf. She was active in the National Council of Negro Women. She knew both Mary McLeod Bethune and Dr. Dorothy Heights. When there were functions, she had me read or recite or speak. That was my first training in public speaking. Nobody tells you that healing sometimes sounds like your own voice before you even know how powerful it is. At my mother's church, I read scriptures, recited poems, and served as MC. And in high school, I had an English teacher who pushed me hard. I thought she didn't like me. She told me the truth. I wasn't working up to my potential. And she said that she was never going to give me an A unless I earned it. When I finally did, I was shocked. Years later at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, I tested out of English 101. And I had already read the majority of the material that was required for English 102. Nobody tells you that healing can look like discipline, not comfort. On June 11, 1967, at my graduation, I heard another song that became my soundtrack for my life. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Oh my goodness. I was so very moved by that song. That song still lives in me every single day of my life, especially during these times. On June 20th, 1967, I left home for good. I have never returned except for brief visits. Nobody tells you that healing doesn't always mean going back. Sometimes it means carrying forward. So if you're listening and wondering why healing feels slow or messy, let me tell you what nobody tells you about healing. Healing isn't linear. Healing is communal. Healing is memory. Healing is purpose. And sometimes healing is just telling the truth out loud. Thank you for sitting with me. This is Healing with Honey. We heal safely, we heal honestly, and more importantly, we heal together.